Dan Delmar in for Aaron for a few days. He's back later next week. Big controversy on Fox Business yesterday, I believe. This is going around the world. It's pretty viral, I would say, about the economic relationship between Canada and the U.S. And our next guest, who you know from CJAD, he was a contributor here on the show for quite a while. Kevin O'Leary started a bit of a controversy by suggesting that Canada should get closer to the U.S. in a number of respects, and let's unpack that with Mr. O'Leary now. Kevin, nice to talk to you again.
Great to be here. Thank you.
Your audience here at CJAD, you always cause some controversy here at CJAD. Our text boards have lit up in past years when you've been with us. That is no different over the past few days. Why did you decide to wade into this issue, the economic relationship between the U.S. and Canada, and why do you think you're the right person to pitch a closer relationship?
Well, Canada's at a turning point. We're coming out of an economic coma induced by Justin Trudeau. By every metric over the last 9 years, we've declined in every respect that you can measure. Competitiveness in the G20, productivity per capita, everything in debt. We are just the most in debt country. GDP per capita, capital flows out of the country. Even our own pension plans don't invest in Canada anymore. And that's because of Justin is a very bad manager. And when he had his majority mandate back, there was a guy named Gerald Butts who put policy in place against the wealth of Canada, its resources. He had a utopian vision that no one ever found out what it was, but he decimated our country. So the two of them, really, I think history will look at Trudeau as the idiot king. And so now we're at a place where our dollar's in free fall because of the idiot king, and we have to think of what comes next and what is the future for North America. And so we've talked about this, not just about, uniting Canada and the United States. It's what does the world look like now? We've got the BRIC countries that are uniting to compete against us. We have China and Russia in our north. We're in an economic war with China. Americans and Canadians believe in the same things. Now, we have some things that America needs, notably power. We're the wealthiest country on earth. We have the lowest cost power. They have run out of power in the United States, and they have a huge AI issue. We should lead in AI. And so I start thinking about what are the ways, instead of talking about tariffs and closing down our border, why aren't we taking this initiative that Trump has thrown out there, because that's what he is, a transitional guy and a transactional guy, and saying, look, he jokingly said, let's make you the 51st state. Well, no, we're not going to do that. But if you want to talk about an economic union that gives the combined entity the most powerful country on earth, that's going to have a hard time, anytime we want, if an adversary is coming after us, they're going to have a hard time competing with us, because if we combined our economies, let me give you some examples. Common currency. What Canadian wouldn't want their account turned into American dollars? I mean, do you really want to own the Trudeau peso? The thing is in decline. You're getting wiped out. You can't even go to Florida. This guy was a really bad manager, didn't understand anything about the economic markets. He wiped us out. But we could fix it all by combining and saying we're going to have one currency. Number two, how about an EU-like passport? An American can choose it, a Canadian can choose it, doesn't give up their sovereign birthright. They're still a Canadian, but they get a passport that gives them freedom back and forth across the border under one tax regime. How about sharing our energy in exchange for the largest market on earth? We're 2% of the world's GDP. The U.S. is the largest market. Let's combine. Let's think big is my whole point.
Okay, very interesting. So if I understand your position, Kevin O'Leary, economic cooperation, yes. Free trade, yes. But you would draw the line at actually becoming a 51st state.
No, we don't have to do that. No Canadian wants to do that. But my point is, the in-between is where you want to explore. What can we do together that makes us way better, more powerful, protects our freedoms, makes our economy more efficient? And what are we fighting about anyways? Most of us are 90% just like Americans, and we've fought in wars together for decades. I mean, we are the same people. We have differences just like every state. If you're born in Iowa, you're different than if you're born in Florida. Same if you're born in, Ontario versus Alberta. I get it. You get to keep that. But why are we not combining economically? That's what I want to explore. I think that's where the opportunity. This is not a new idea, by the way. It's just that when you have a leader like Trudeau and the mediocrity he's brought into the cabinet, you can't get anything done and you destroy the country. I'm sorry that I keep bashing Trudeau, but somebody has to do it. We're so close to getting rid of this guy. Everything in my power I can do. Every Canadian has a moral obligation to get rid of this guy. He's like a mouse in the kitchen, running around. His own party has a broom. They're going to get the mouse. When are we going to get the mouse? When are we getting rid of this mouse? So
a few weeks, Kevin.
This country.
Just a few weeks. I mean, all indications suggest that he will not run again.
Soon enough. It can't come soon enough. We have to get rid of it. The idiot king has to go.
But why transform our economic model? Why make drastic decisions when this prime minister, who I agree has been mediocre, especially on economics, when he's so close to leaving? Why make that drastic change right now?
Because, we've got two ministers down at Mar-a-Lago right now. They're going to be wiped out too. The Liberal Party, and this is the nature of our parliamentary system in Canada, Trudeau's had a really long run, and he did it all. He had a really, really long run, maybe the third longest. I have to go look at my history, but he could be one of the most successful in terms of longevity. But he did it without any executional skills, and he wiped out the country by every metric we talked about. So these ministers that are down there now, they're gone in 90 days. I mean, think about it. We're in this limbo zone. We have no leadership. The Liberal Party, by some estimates, will be decimated, which is good. It will help them. It's a good thing for them. Get the spatula out. All those people in Ottawa will be gone. They'll be wiped out. They'll lose their seats and their ridings. That's good because they did a really crappy job. And this is how we're going to pay them back. We're going to hire new people. And I don't care what party you vote for. You better start thinking about some executional skills in the mandates of like finance, freelance. A journalist in finance, of course she got wiped out. That was the worst budget I've ever seen. She will never run a financial institution in her life after what she did to Canada. And that's fair. That's fair. I know these are harsh words, but while we're thinking about this, why don't we get this narrative going with Trump? And I've just one guy saying, look, I'm happy to fly down there and start talking about it because I have no skin in the game. I'm not a politician. I'm just an interested Canadian, and I do business on both sides of the border. So is he. He's a private citizen until the 19th. And that's what he's doing. He's inviting people down there, and they're talking. I'm happy to go, or I'll see him at the inauguration. I don't know. Whatever. The point is, I'm interested because I love to invest in Canada and the United States. I just announced the largest data center deal in history, largest on earth. Where? In Alberta, because we've got the power. I would have never done that deal if I thought Trudeau was staying because I would have never been able to raise the $70 billion. Now I'm telling people all around the world, the idiot king is gone, and we can do great things in Canada. It's going to be the birth, the renaissance of the Canadian market coming out of the Trudeau economic coma.
Okay, so Kevin O'Leary, you've made the offer to help broker this arrangement. Have you had a response from the Trump camp? Are you going to go down to Mar-a-Lago?
Well, if I get invited, I will. The offer's 22 hours old, so let's just wait and see. I'm very interested, but I go down to Capitol Hill all the time. I'm welcomed as an ambassador of the entrepreneurial dream of North America. I'm happy to say that. I'm bipartisan. I'm not left. I'm not blue. I'm not right. I don't care. I just want to help entrepreneurs. To me, this is a giant entrepreneurial opportunity, and we'll just wait and see what happens. I'm always interested in advancing a cause. People say, oh, this is controversial. You're selling Canada. I'm not selling Canada. I'm making an obvious point to everybody. Do you think it's good to have a common currency? I haven't found a single Canadian on the streets. I'm up in Toronto right now. I could stop. I just walked back from doing some Christmas shopping, or at least returns. There must have been 20 people said, love this idea. Let's pursue it. Well, I'm just a random guy. It's just an idea. I'm just an entrepreneur. I'm not trying to get votes from anybody. You like it, you don't like it, I don't care, but you should think about it.
Part of the reason I think people are having such a strong reaction to your statements online, some very aggressive statements I've seen in your direction online, and not to mention on our text board right now, part of the reason is that you're not elected, you don't have a constituency. Do you think you're the right person to do this, given that you're not an elected official, you're not representing a group of Canadians?
I'm better than a politician. I have no axe to grind. I have a pure economic idea that I'd like to explore. I obviously I know both markets very, very well, and I'm very fortunate to be able to talk to leadership. And certainly on the conservative side, I'm a registered conservative because I believe in pro-business, pro-growth, pro-economy, pro-entrepreneurship, and I'm really unhappy with what's happened to our Canadian brand over the last 9 years. And I talked about this. I'm just ashamed. I was basically not allowed to go into Egypt for a wedding with a Canadian passport. Somehow Trudeau screwed up our relationship with the Egyptians, the Chinese, and the Indians. I mean, how did he do that? How can you do that? We used to have the number one passport on earth beside the Swiss. And this guy, I mean, anyways.
Okay. I get it. It's frustrating.
I'm so pissed off at that guy. I mean, it's so important to get rid of him. Everybody hear me on this. It's your moral duty. I don't care what religion you are, where you came from. If you have a Canadian passport, you have a moral obligation to get up in the morning and get rid of this guy. He is destroying your country.
He's going, Kevin O'Leary, I promise. He's going.
Not fast
he's going
enough.
soon.
I want him gone tomorrow morning, 9:30.
Okay. Last question, because some texters are asking. You did run for the Conservative leadership, and there was a dispute there over the campaign debt. Has that been resolved? Where is that at?
I paid every penny back, every single cent. I don't owe a dime to anybody, and I did it all on my own. $3 million in the hole, and I've also brought a lawsuit which is on its way to the Supreme Court of Canada to say this is the most stupid idea I've ever seen, because it's keeping people away from running for leadership in Canada. Because if you don't pay it back in 24 months, you go to jail. How stupid is that? This is the benefit of politicians who have never had a job. They get to compete with you by being allowed to raise capital after a campaign is over. If 10 people run for leadership, 9 are going to lose. And if any of those 9 are not politicians, they have to give up their entire infrastructure in raising capital. And if they don't pay it back in 24 months, they go to jail. Well, who the hell is going to do that? So I'm just saying that's breeding mediocrity and keeping the Kathleen Wynnes and the Justin Trudeaus and the Rachel Notleys. They're the people who have never done a day's work in their lives, and they get to stay in the system because it's rigged. So I'm litigating right to the Supreme Court. I funded the whole litigation myself. This is a cancer inside of Canada. Nobody knows about it.
Okay, we'll follow that story. Kevin O'Leary, O'Leary Ventures, and of course, Shark Tank. Thanks for joining us, and best of luck online.
Take care. Thank you.